People are obsessed with bottoming and bottoms and what it takes to bottom and who bottoms and why they bottom. There are so many myths, so many assumptions, so many misconceptions. It's hard to even know where to start. That is, unless you know my guest today from the Bottoms Digest. He has created a one-stop shop of everything you ever need to know about bottoming and or pleasing your bottom. I'm Patrick Marano, and this is Queerly Us. Before we begin, if you enjoy this content, do not forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a thing. He is the co-founder and host of the Bottoms Digest, a platform dedicated to teaching you how to bottom safely and prioritize your pleasure, from your mouth to your bum. He is also a sexual health educator, butt and gut recipe developer, body autonomy activist, and husband to a fellow Scorpio. Please welcome to the show, Alex Hall. Alex,
Yeah.
I should say welcome back to the show.
Yes, I know. I'm so happy to be back. Thank you for asking me to come back to this slutty little space.
Oh my God. I love that we can just be open and talk about whatever the fuck. And it's great.
Yeah.
Like we did last time. I had a lot of fun with you last time.
Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, it was really fun. It's a match made in heaven when you think about it. You like tour steam rooms and like all around the world, and I help keep them a little cleaner, I guess.
You do. I want to start first because you're bi. I didn't know. I knew you had a partner. I didn't know that he was also a Scorpio. So two Scorpios together.
Yeah.
My ex is a Scorpio, so I have some experience with Scorpios. I can't imagine two of you all together.
Yeah, it's hilarious. So my husband is the co-founder of the Bottoms Digest. That's what kind of the funny part about being two Scorpios is we're success driven. But he's much more aloof. We actually went to San Diego in September to meet Dr. Carlton in person because I've been working with him for years for the medical advice on my channel. And we finally got to meet him in person. And the first thing he said to us was, I knew you had a husband, but this is the first time I've ever seen him. And I'm like, yeah, that's Mike to a T. He is hidden in the shadows, scheming and pushing me out of the shadow all the time to be okay, go make a living, bitch. And I'm like, come with me.
Well, you're the face, I guess. Is he as pretty as you are? Because
he's beautiful, but he's just very aloof. That's his whole. Even when I talk about if I want to talk about his penis or anything from an educational standpoint on the Bottoms Digest, I have to go talk to him first and basically get literal sign off. We're one step away from a legal document at this point. Getting legal sign off.
I understand, it's working in the public like that and on social. I mean, you're just putting you're being very vulnerable. Well, we are. I can relate because we're both being so vulnerable with information and with ourselves and with our brands but we're doing it for, the good.
Yeah, truly. I mean,
God's work.
Yeah, that's what they say. I've been told that so many times, and I'm like, okay. Honestly, God was probably into anal stuff.
Oh my God, he's such a bottom.
Even if he wasn't, I'm sure he was verse or loved to do. I don't know. I'm like, wait a second. I'm still in America. Let me chill.
Yeah, where is this going? Okay, let's jump right in because I know people are watching and they clicked on this because they're like, you have a bottoming expert. Where are the tips and tricks? So, and I know people are impatient. So let's just get to, let's start. I wanted to start. What's that?
That's what chapters are for. You scrub.
Fair. That's fair. Some people don't use them or, I know butt and gut is something that you are big on with your recipes and everything. And I wanted to thank you because last time we spoke, you told me about psyllium husk. And I have been doing that regularly and I feel so much more regular.
Yeah.
And it has really helped. It's like one wipe and go.
Yeah. It's the magic stuff. That's what I was so busy from was I came out with a psyllium husk powder called Bottom Powder.
Plug it, bitch. Plug it.
It's called Bottom Balance.
Oh, where can we
Sleep
get that?
on thebottomsidedigest.com. We are not selling it on Amazon at the moment, just
Okay.
thebottomsidedigest.com.
Which is at the
And
bottom of your screen right now,
oh,
thebottomsdigest.com.
wow,
Yeah.
I love that. Okay.
Ta-da!
Pink's my favorite color too. So love, love, love.
Yay.
But yeah, I came out with a psyllium husk powder because not all psyllium husk powders are made equal. Like I wanted one that had a as much fiber per teaspoon that I could get without clogging your pipes, because there is such thing as too much fiber also.
Sure.
Some of these out there have like 6 grams per teaspoon, and that can still, that sounds like, oh, more is more, but you should really be prioritizing your diet with fiber and then using the supplement to supplement the gap. So I found 3 to 4 grams being the sweet spot. I came out with one that's 3 grams. I might up it in the future, but it's just psyllium husk. There's nothing else in it, because the things like Metamucil, the thing about products like Metamucil is they have artificial sweeteners and stuff in it. And that's not a problem. What is a real problem with it is it's not always bottom friendly for people, especially people with IBS. So I'm not one of those like seed oils, artificial sweet, like none of that. It's just like the whole point of me teaching people is like bottom friendly, things that don't hurt your stomach, and sugar-free alternatives can be pretty problematic. So ours is just psyllium husk. And if you don't even buy ours and you buy someone else's, just make sure it's just psyllium husk. You don't want any of the other stuff. But yeah, GI doctors swear by it. Countless scientists swear by it. My favorite thing about it is that it's heavily researched. A lot of these other fiber supplements out there are not as heavily researched. Like almost none of them are FDA approved. Mine's not FDA approved either. That's impossible basically. But
Okay.
it is just, a lot of them make claims that aren't backed by anything, whereas psyllium husk has been researched for decades. Dr. Curran is someone that I love online. He talks about the gut health, GI tract all the time, and he swears by psyllium husk because it's 80% soluble fiber, 20% insoluble fiber. So soluble fiber is what gives you that like clean wipe that you were talking about, and it just helps with regularity so much. But psyllium husk is also great for people with IBS. It treats constipation and diarrhea. Like it's just the magic
Well,
stuff.
I'm prone to constipation, so it has helped sort of keep me regular, which is great. I can testify that psyllium husk definitely, and I can imagine there must be a lot of gimmicky things out there that try to trick you into like, get this and you'll be,
Yeah, a lot of them mix stuff with psyllium husk, and it doesn't need to be mixed with anything. That's the funny part. Like a lot of brands will be like, oh, we put chia and aloe and unflavor and like all these flavorings, and it's like, okay, but it just needs to be psyllium husk. Like,
yeah,
like
yeah.
there's not, like, chia seed's great, but chia is the opposite, where it's predominantly insoluble versus soluble. So like it's just not as good as treating those IBS symptoms I was talking about. And again, this is all from Dr. Karen. This is not, I'm not a
Yeah,
doctor.
yeah.
I just heavily follow scientists and doctors. I just make their
Yeah.
research entertaining. And Dr. Karen like swears that soluble fiber is a little, when I read it and like listen to him every time he talks about soluble fiber, I'm like, oh, bottoming. That's great for bottoming. But in his world, it's like, it's great for gastrointestinal stuff,
Right.
regularity, constipation, diarrhea. But chia seed, aloe, all that stuff. Aloe can actually be a laxative, which in bottoming world, you don't want a laxative.
No.
That can be the opposite of what we're looking for. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's no need to mix all these other things in and then charge $40 for it. Psyllium husk is notoriously cheap. That's the whole point. So it's not only heavily researched, but it's extremely affordable and accessible. One thing that I talk about in the bottom digest is that bottoming should not be gate kept and made to be this like financial thing that only people with means can do it. The whole point is accessibility. So when you start mixing all this other crap in, it just gives people an opportunity to be like, oh, well, that's why it's $50.
Right.
So
It's our special blend of this and that, and that's why
yeah,
it's well, listen, you can probably get psyllium husk anywhere, but for those that are watching, they can support you by going to thebottomsdigest.com, what, and
yeah,
getting your psyllium husk, because what you do is important, and you're not a doctor, but you're talking to the doctors, and then you're bringing that message to the masses. And so for all of that, the support of going to thebottomsdigest.com and specifically supporting you that way would be a nice thing to do.
yes, that would be iconic. Thank you so much, because it really does continue the work. It supports us constantly creating these videos. We pay everyone we work with, so that's where a lot of this support goes to. A lot of people are like, "Oh, you pay yourself." I'm like, I pay myself what I need to, but
Yeah,
a
I gotta
lot of
live,
the
bitch.
yeah, I gotta live. Like, I can't
Yeah.
make the videos if I don't have internet or
Yeah, yeah.
electricity
A roof.
or a roof. So, like, exactly. But a lot of the money from these products and stuff that I've been coming out with, um, they do go to supporting the mission of making this educational information accessible, because none of our content is behind a paywall. We don't charge for any of it, but also the real tea of like my douche bulb that I came out with like a year and a half ago now, huge seller.
We're
Um,
talking about that next.
yeah, oh, good. But
Yes.
the whole point of my products was like to fight the stigma that's out there. There's so many products that just rely on fear mongering and reinforcing stigma
Yeah.
in our community that I'm on a mission to destroy all the time.
Well, yeah, I've seen that. So lately, I've been seeing your reels and stuff on Instagram where you're just like tearing to shreds all of these misconceptions and things. People putting out their videos. The one with the sheet and it had all that. I
Ugh,
guess it was chocolate.
yeah,
They just took a chocolate bar and melted it into the sheets, and they're like, "Oh, bottoming something something." Things like that, all of these things that which scare people and then spread all this misinformation just so that they can get a laugh or a like or a
yeah,
and everything, but it's actually more harm than good, and I've
yeah,
seen you attacking those.
yeah. I've been on a crusade, to say the
Yeah,
least.
yeah,
Um, I for the longest time, like I still am very much in the corner of my channel being positive and educational and empowering and all that jazz. But there is a line lately that I've had to like, okay, I'm not gonna attack like the most vulnerable people out there, but
yeah.
like this dude in his like millennial gray apartment with the sheets and stuff, I was like, okay, you're asking for it. So I'm gonna read this down, because the whole point is like, to your point, when someone sees that, what if like a 20-year-old that just came out and sees that, they're going to think that that's normal, and they're going to be like,
Yeah,
holy shit, oh my god, what can I do to prevent that? And I'm out here being like, you would never have a mess that large, like,
yeah,
um
yeah,
and that's I'm just so over it. I'm so over what the lack of sex ed around the globe has done to
yeah.
people, but also within the gay community specifically. It feels like lately we'll just do anything to get a laugh.
Mhm.
And I'm like, okay, but we don't have to rely on stigma and shame to get laughs also. This whole like starving before bottoming, messes in the bedroom. If I hear painting one more time, I'm gonna actually scream.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's just so inappropriate. Like it just
yeah,
all that does is make people that go into the bedroom to bottom. It adds a layer of anxiety that doesn't need to be there. So that's kind of what I have been spending a lot more time educating people on, is where poop is stored out in your body, why you would never
yeah,
have an accident that big, why your bowel regularity is so, so important, and knowing your unique regularity, because some people poop twice a day, some people don't poop every day at all, and they get a lot of fiber. So it's really important to know these things and to just ignore this bullshit that's floating on the
well
internet.
well, and that's the thing, you're not attacking the person as a person, it's the
Right.
information or the joke or the
Yeah.
message that they're sending where you're just like, "This is false."
Yeah. Like below
Um,
the belt stuff, we don't ever do that. We're not like, oh, like only
"Nice haircut, dude," like,
yeah, nothing like that ever.
yeah,
It's just like,
it's about the
um,
message.
yeah,
It also gives permission for the tops to bottom shame and to be
Yeah.
like to have expectations that are, not realistic. Also,
Yeah, one of the things I love talking about on this topic is one of my really good friends. Her name's Louise James. I was looking at her book. It's called Kinky History. It's on my bookshelf back here.
oh yeah,
She's iconic. She has a huge following. She's a historian, and she's in Australia. But there's a part of her book talking about anal sex in the Roman Empire and the Greek Empire, and like in during Greek, is it Greek Empire? I don't know. I'm not a historian. But like,
Greeks and Roman. Yeah,
yeah,
not a
the Roman
doctor, not a
Empire.
historian. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. I was like, I did read the book, Kinky
Yeah,
History, really great
yeah,
book. But in it, there's a part talking about how anal sex was like basically reserved for elite class, but also it was okay as long as you were the top and not the person receiving any kind of
right.
penetration.
Yes.
And when you think about how much that has trickled down through centuries and in society, this reinforcement of like tops being able to shame because it's not that they're not the feminine one. And it's like, you can be a feminine top. That has
Oh my
nothing to
God,
do with it.
so many
Um,
feminine tops out there.
I mean, how
Yes.
many porn scenes have you seen where they put so much focus on the top that's about to come and almost zero on the bottom coming
Yeah. Yeah.
towards the end of the video? So it's like it's
Yeah.
all in that same realm of like this type of content does let that kind of stuff continue to slide
Yeah.
where we're just a hole in the room. Like it's cool if you identify as that, especially if you're submissive, but like there is a we are still people. Like we're there to
We
also
are.
enjoy.
We're people.
We're
Yeah.
also there to enjoy the moment, not just you, babe.
Of course. Well, it's so stupid. Like it's just well, it's misogyny too. It's a
Oh yeah.
trickle. It's permeated through from heteronormative standards where it's like, it's a woman, and being a woman or anything feminine is never a good
Hmm.
thing. Painting your nails, having long hair, wearing a crop top, like these are all like girly things that are just like shunned and whatever. I love that the gay community has you know totally gone that way and just queened out and femmed out, and you see like guys wearing lingerie and stuff online and stuff. So I mean, hopefully
It's getting
taking back that power. I know, yeah, slowly but surely.
there. Yeah.
Um, let's move it to douching because this is everybody's favorite topic. So many misconceptions. I know
So
that you have your own douche. So let's talk about what is the correct. Somebody is new to bottoming. Tell them what to do.
oh my god, less is best.
Less
The
is
first thing
best.
I want you to do is don't go on TikTok unless it's the bottom digest that you're going to watch. Um, I won't lie because there are some people out there that even scientists and doctors that I've talked to um, that do spew out the right information, but they don't actually show it. And I think that's something that's really special about our channel is that we
Mm,
show as much as we can, right? Because we can't show nudity and stuff.
yeah.
But also, I don't know if the world is actually ready for me to be douching on camera. But
Well,
um,
I'll tell you something. I did a douching tutorial on my OnlyFans, and OnlyFans took it down. I didn't show anything like like that. But I was filling up the douche, and I squirted it in, and then I went to the toilet, but I didn't show like stuff.
right.
They still took it down. They didn't care. They were like,
Wow.
absolutely not. No.
God, even know when OnlyFans is taking it down, that means we have a whole we
Listen,
have a lot to
that's
grow. Um,
yeah.
so I say less is best. I actually pulled one of my bulbs. See how
There it
tiny that is?
is. Yeah, so
Tiny that
cute.
is.
Oh,
That's literally all you need. And that's why we talked about fiber first, because your regularity is so important. I I joke that this is going to be etched on my urn when I die, is that poop is not stored in the rectum. It is stored in the sigmoid colon. And that is past the point of the rectosigmoid junction, which is the curve going from the rectum to the sigmoid colon. That is technically the third hole, even though it's not a hole. It's people call it the second hole all the time. It's actually that's incorrect, but um it's an area that almost no penis will ever go into. even if it does, it actually usually hurts for a while because it's slamming into that curve
Mm,
for a while before it straightens out some. It'll never straighten out like this. It'll never straighten out in a full 180.
okay.
Um, so there's a lot about anatomy with douching, and that's why the poop part is so important with fiber. Because if you went earlier today, or you know that you usually poop at night or whatever, once you've passed a bowel movement, you only need to clean your rectum out. And these
Hmm.
giant douche bulbs, the nozzle is so long that it goes and it shoots water right into the sigmoid colon. So it's not even cleaning out the area that you actually need cleaned. It's just going way further.
Yeah.
And what happens when that water goes in there is you're cleaning an area of your body that no dick was ever going to get into. Some toys can snake into it because they're made to do that, but no penis was ever going to really.
Yeah.
And that's why the water is never running clear over and over and over again, and there's not even like solid pieces in it anymore. It's just dirty water.
Yeah.
um, and you're wondering why the hell it's never
Been
it's
there. Yeah.
yeah, we've all been there. We've all bought that stupid black bulb that is made
Yeah.
out of
It's a
shitty
big.
rubber.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really, really toxic device. Honestly, a lot of shower attachments are also not great unless you're a sex worker and that's your whole life. But I always joke about that too. I wouldn't go out and get a CPA license if I'm not an accountant.
Yeah.
So there's like we stop douching like a porn star if you're not a porn star. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
if
You're
you're
just
just
opening yourself up to more problems. Like you're saying, you're shooting water into a space that you don't even need to clean. And now it's getting, if something was solid, now there's water in there and it's all, now it's
yeah.
seeping out and now it's like continuing. And you're like, for no
And
reason.
then when you get water into the sigmoid colon too, you are creating a long-term domino effect of screwing your body's natural bowel regularity.
Mm,
So that's a big domino effect of overdouching, is like you were starting to get some sense of your bowel regularity, which can be really powerful for spontaneity as someone that bottoms, but you're kind of screwing over that chance of spontaneity because now you're becoming douching dependent because you're going past this point that's creating a bowel movement to
yeah.
induce itself. Um, so that's a major problem. But another one is like, even when the water is running clear with those big douches, you're trapping water in the sigmoid colon, and that's why you're getting surprise water all over your bed later.
Right.
Um, so overdouching, it's really bad for your gut health. It strips the rectum of all the healthy bacteria in there. It's just got a million problems with it. So less is best, less tip, less water. It keeps water in the rectum. It just cleans the area that you really need to keep the water in. And then you need to focus more on fiber for deep cleaning and regularity, because that whole area, your mouth and your anus are two entrances into your body. They have evolved to keep the areas healthy and clean more than you would believe. Um, so I always tell people, like, when you're done douching with less, I would take like a toy. I love anal dilators. I actually have some in the back, a set of 3. I will work my way up 1, 2, 3 to the biggest one and do the dipstick method so that if the toy comes out clean, you're good. So I'm at a point now with fiber that I douche maybe twice with this small bulb, use the largest dilator, and I'm telling you, unless I like fucked with my diet the day before.
You don't even start with the small dilator. You're like, I just go straight for the big one.
Well, I do anal dilation exercises like 4 times a week. So I'm not I'm not the greatest example, because this is what I do for work, and I do try to get my audience to do anal dilation exercises in the shower 2 to 3 times a week, because it keeps you really, it makes bottoming just so much better. Like ever since I started doing these exercises years ago, holy shit, like whole new world. But
Holy
uh,
shit.
yeah, truly. But seriously, with douching, it's just less is best. I swear by that.
Yeah.
If you're not going to go out and buy a new bulb and you're going to keep that giant toxic black rubber one, that's fine. Just use way less of the tip and way less of the water. Like, I'm telling
Mm.
you, that will change the game.
Now, the little douche they can also get on your website. the
Yes, you
bottom
can get
side
that
bulb.
on Amazon and my website. So
And
it's called the
okay.
Better Bottoming Bulb because it's truly better. I've been
Mhm.
using it for 4 years myself. I never take more than 20 minutes to douche anymore. Everybody's different, but I have tons of really great feedback from this douche alone for like 2 years of amazing feedback, 5-star reviews from people, how much it's cut down on time because there's too much emphasis on douching and
Mhm.
like preparing. And it's like, okay, where's the emphasis on enjoying bottoming, stretching out for bottoming? Stretching out to me is actually more important. I think we skip over that part all the time. And before you know it, people have hemorrhoids and fissures and prolapsed
You're
anuses 20
I
years
think
from now.
you're reading my question list. Literally, my next question is exercises. So, before
Exercise.
you go into it, the exercises, before we go into that though, the dilator things, where do you get the dilator things? Do you have those on your website too, or?
So I actually got these on Amazon
Okay.
because I looked really hard. A lot of dilators are pretty expensive, and a lot of them
Oh,
aren't even glass. Um, I did a YouTube video on anal dilation exercises, and those are all linked in the description on that video. They were all very affordable, and I think the most expensive one was $10.
oh,
Um, so you can get a set of 4. That's what I like about this set in particular. I just have 3 for background purposes,
yeah.
rules of 3, but there's a 4th one. So I like that there's a 4th stepping stone. I find a lot of 3 set toys jump a little high from the medium to the big. um, it's like small, cute, medium, really good, medium to big. Holy hell, that's a giant leap. So
Okay.
I liked that set. I am designing a set of anal dilators. So
I knew it. I figured you would be.
I'm
Okay.
working with a really cool designer in Amsterdam. She's a sex toy designer. She's actually helping me redesign the bulb some too. So I'm excited about that. The size and the tip length will stay the same. We're just making some design changes for
Mhm.
accessibility, disability, all that kind of jazz. But yeah, the dilators, those are, I got those on Amazon. For now, you can get them on Amazon for really cheap. I think
Okay.
they're called like RO. I don't remember.
Okay. Cool. Cool. Let's talk exercises because you brought it up, and I wanted to talk about it because I know that
Mhm.
you do talk about that on your channel. So, I'm is this for only for beginners, or is this just like through your bottoming career? It's just something like I'm going to bottom tonight. Let's stretch.
Bottoming career. Period. So I talk about that a lot too because your anus, your anal sphincters, they're muscles, and just like any muscle, we can be, dehydrated, stressed. You might not have worked out your muscles in a while, so they're weak again. So you really, I would say for life, you're staying with these exercises, but they're not overwhelming. So the first thing I always do is Dr. Carlton's butt clock technique. I swear by it. It's the most iconic thing ever to start opening up your sphincters, and you just need your finger for it. You don't need anything else. You just insert your finger into your rectum just to like like the tip, eventually to the first knuckle, and then the second knuckle, aka all the way down. But you literally are pushing your finger in your anus at 12 o'clock for 30 seconds, 3 o'clock for 30 seconds, 6 o'clock for 30 seconds, and then 9 o'clock. And then you're repeating
Mhm.
that all the way until you get knuckle deep. That is the most, when I started talking to Dr. Carlton like 3 years ago now, and he shared that with me, I did it. And on the first day, I like gasped when I felt my sphincter literally open. Because he's a GI doctor. So he was like, yeah, we do this on people to get them to open up before colonoscopies and stuff. And I was like,
Correct.
this is iconic. So I always recommend that before even putting in the smallest dilator, because then you know that your sphincters have chilled out some. And then in terms of the exercises alone, again, I have a great YouTube video on this. You can scrub right to the chapter where um, the anal dilation exercise part is. But I also share Dr. Carlton's video, his exercise, I mean, in that video as well. But with anal dilation exercises, I say for career, because I know for me personally, if I have a stressful day, I notice it when I go put my finger or a toy in my butt. Like I'll be like, oh wow, I'm pretty tight today. Or if you sat a lot today, that can be a pretty strenuous thing on your bum. So always start with the smallest. Even when I said I went up to the biggest one, I start with the smallest to do a little check with myself, and then I go to the biggest one. But you insert the smallest toy, lubed up like nothing else, like tons of lube.
Right. Right.
Um, you enter it about like halfway in, and you're just breathing. You're not doing much. You're just breathing through it. You pull it out, you put more lube on, you go a little further, you pull it out, go further, over and over again until it's finally all the way in. And then you're doing reps like you're at the gym, 12 to 15 reps of you pulling it out maybe an inch or so and then pushing it back in. You do that for like, if you're a beginner, you do that for like a week or two on the smallest dilator. And then every week or so, you upgrade to a next size. If you're someone that's really experienced, but you feel like you could use some work loosening up better, like I was, like I had been bottoming for, I don't know, 8 years before I started doing anal dilation. So after, when I did that, it took me like a couple days with the smallest, and then a couple days with the medium, and then I think maybe about a week for the large. So you always want to start with the smallest. Don't let your ego get in the way. That's how anal fissures happen.
Those are
And
painful, right?
they're, from what I've heard, I've never had one because I prioritize stretching, but
Yeah.
from what I've heard, they are the most excruciating things. Dr. Carlton says that it feels like shitting out glass, quote.
Yeah.
So that's what he says. And to me, that's enough inspiration to take stretching more seriously than
Yeah.
douching. And most of the time, especially if I had a bowel movement earlier today, I will do my anal dilation exercises in the shower. Um, and I'll be gagged how often they come out clean, and I won't even douche at all at that
Yeah.
point. And I'll be like, great, I'm gonna
Well,
go on this.
yeah, if you do the tester, the dip test, or what did you call it?
Dipstick.
The
Yeah.
dipstick test. If you do the dipstick test and you're ready to go, I mean, then you don't need to even douche, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's you don't have to douche. Like you really don't. It's um if like I always say that if you douche when like your diet's been a little irregular, or you just need that extra layer of fearlessness or whatever. But
Mm.
lately I've actually, especially now that I'm 32, I'm going on 33, I'm trying to find a place where I move away from douching a little more, and not rely on it as much.
Mm.
So I try to use these anal dilation exercises more to find a place where it's like, great, they're all coming out clean. I've also been with my partner for 10 years. So, like, if a little accident happens, it was still worth not
Right.
teaching.
You got together with your husband, you were 22 years old?
22, going on 23.
Wow, that's nuts.
Yeah, I
That's
love it.
very young. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not mad about it. Um, we we technically opened our relationship like 4 years ago, but we both don't even use it. It's so funny. It's like it's on the table, but it's like,
Really? Wow.
yeah.
And you guys still have sex with each other?
Hmm?
And you still have sex with each other,
Yeah,
obviously.
a lot. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
a ton.
Oh, two Scorpios, yeah.
Two
But
Scorpios and one's a sex educator. So it's like,
yeah, okay.
and
That's
also
great.
it'll be funny. I'll be like, oh, I read about this thing. I need to practice it. Like
It's research.
it really is. I'm like, hey, I need to know. Like, Pelvic People, one of my favorite companies, they have a really cool sexual health device. It's a set of silicone rings that you can put on
Okay.
your partner's penis if they're packing down south. And it helps with penetration so that your partner feels like they're thrusting fully, but they're actually not going all the way in. It's
Oh.
predominantly for vaginas, but over time you can lose a ring. And like,
Oh.
and when they sent me one of those, I was like, oh, well, we have to test it.
Let's try it out. Did it work?
Oh yeah, it's awesome. I love them. Pelvic People, it's called the O Nut. At least it used to be called the O Nut, but it's still by Pelvic People. They're very cool, very, very cool product company. But yeah, I'm like, every time I get a new product, I'm like, well, we have to try it out.
Yeah. I deal a lot with I get sponsors and they send me sex toys and stuff. But a lot of the companies are straight companies that are sending me toys that
Yeah.
I mean, they're not just for straight people. Anybody can use them, but the company is straight and they're primarily straight. And so I got sent sex dolls, for example, and they're like women, like sex dolls. And you go to their site, they do have male ones, but they still look feminine. Like the shape
No,
of them are still
yeah.
like hippie. You can tell they just put on a penis and chopped off the tits.
Yeah, that's so funny.
But it sounds like you deal with companies that are sort of straight based
Yeah,
also.
yeah, because of the bottom side, just my very first video, I said anyone can bottom, not just gay men. Because my whole thing was like making it for everybody. We all unfortunately are victim to the same shitty sex ed. So
Shitty.
yeah, for real. It's pretty bad. Especially I'm from Texas where it's probably the worst.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm so proud of the platform I built because 40% of my audience are women now. I wish I could see the breakdown of trans people that are my followers, but I have a huge trans following because we just like know that everyone has a butt and everyone can enjoy butt stuff. So like,
Everyone
so
does.
I work with like, I dabble around with sex toy companies of all kinds, but pelvic people specifically, they are more women leaning because their whole mission is taking away pelvic pain for vagina havers.
Right.
So a lot of women suffer, a lot of people with vaginas suffer from pain in the pelvic floor from deep penetration. So that's their whole mission. I just happened to find them and was like, oh, this could be really useful for people playing backdoor too.
Sure.
Um, I'm just grateful that I reach out to these companies because I feel like a lot of other um, I feel like a lot of gay companies are very hyper focused on keeping it gay and working with gay. And I'm like, that's cool, but I want to work with everybody and I want
Yeah.
everyone to like everything that we have to offer too.
Well, that's what I appreciate when they reach out because, like, half the people have penises, whether they're straight or gay, and
Yeah.
everybody has a butthole. So,
Also, I want your hetero dollars. So thank you so much.
and also, thank you. Yeah, I do appreciate that. Um, I wanted to ask about topping. How, as a top, what can tops do to make an experience more enjoyable for a bottom?
Oh my gosh, so much. I also have a YouTube video on things tops should know about bottoming, and like how they can be better. But obviously, like communicating, people are just so afraid to communicate in general.
Yeah, they are.
It's it's a problem. Like I feel like there's this whole stigma alone that if you're hooking up, which I'm very pro hooking up, that you can't communicate with each other. And it's like, no, you should, because if you're damaging the person you're fucking, that's I don't know about you, but I'd sue you. So um, but it's just communication's a big one because it's like you can only truly actually get deeper and into that pounding arena if you ease in. And a lot of people are not easing in. And if the person bottoming did all the work to loosen up quite a lot on their own,
Yes.
even easing in can be just a minute or two, but like being like, does that feel good? Are you loose? Great, let's go.
It just takes a minute. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a marriage proposal. Like I seriously. So that's a major one is communication. I'm not a big fan of skipping foreplay because foreplay really does help your muscles relax more all over. Um, I have noticed a major difference from when I get rimmed versus when I don't get rimmed, how much looser
Mm,
I am. So, um, yes, it does loosen up your sphincters, the actual um, act of eating ass, but it really is just the relaxation head to toe that you feel from foreplay that
yeah.
really is doing the work. So don't skip foreplay. Use your adult words, communicate, but also like work on your hip mobility. like work on your hip mobility and your rhythm.
Yeah.
Seriously, I always tell people, I'm like, this getting pounded over and over and over again, that feels good for maybe 30 seconds. And then it gets boring as hell.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's we're not in a porn right now.
seriously, I'm like, I swear to God, I'm with my husband still because his hip mobility is insane. But
Ooh.
it's like, for real, like practice loosening up those hips, practice in the mirror, your humping motions, and stop just doing the pounding over and over again.
Yeah.
Like you can bring that back, pound, slow it down for a minute, pound, slow it down for a minute. But the whole just like relentless pounding, I watch a lot of porn, funny enough, for research purposes. Like I won't even be semi-hard watching it. And I'll be watching these videos and I'm like, God, that just looks so unenjoyable. You're just slamming into them for
Yeah.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm not even saying like from a painful perspective, it just looks boring.
Yeah, yeah, no, just boring. But I think that that also goes back to there is no sex education. Like, where else are they getting their information or their inspiration from? I mean,
Yeah, I like to think too that some of the people that are pounding so hard, um, it has a lot to do with masculinity, and they're just letting a lot of their masculine angst out and all that stuff. But yes, you are right about, we talk about that a lot on the bottom side, Jess, is that a lot of us are getting our sex ed from porn. And like I got my sex ed from porn, a lot of
yeah,
people do. And um, you know, like you said with the tops, it's like the cameras seem to focus on them so much and their actions and what they're doing and them
yeah,
enjoying it. Um, and the bottom sometimes sounds like they're literally in pain. And
yeah,
yeah, that's just not how it goes. But so that's, I think the cherry on top is that if the person bottoming ever sounds or looks like they're in pain, they probably are, and you should check in with them.
check in.
Um, because what's worse than poop on your sheets is blood.
Oh,
So
yeah. That happened to me once. I was young. I was just starting to bottom and stuff. So I think I was still sort of, maybe it was my cherry. But
that's
uh,
so funny. I love
it
that.
it did happen. But you know what? When you're that young, it's just kind of, I mean, I wasn't, I was like 19. But when you're young, I guess, it's, yeah, yeah,
Also,
it's a
things
different,
heal better when you're young. So
yeah, they
learn
do. They do.
now while you
Also,
can.
I find, and maybe you can, I don't know if this is like scientific or not, but I feel like when I was younger, I was ready to go like all the time versus now when I just need to check. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because you're younger, your system is working better, everything is like clockwork and like that,
Yeah.
or
That's super common. I mean, even Trixie Mattel talked about that. She never douched until she was like 23. I didn't douche until I was like 22. I'd been
right?
bottoming for 5 years at that point. So yeah, it's just part of getting older. Your regularity changes, your diet changes. I mean, think about it. I was broke as hell when I was 18. Now I actually have some means. So like I eat differently. I have a different life. Um, I wasn't a big drinker when I was young. I don't drink
Now I'm
very
an
much now.
alcoholic.
Right? Oh my god. That was kind of, I was setting myself up, but
Yeah.
I do drink a little more than I did when I was a kid. Like I just
Yeah.
um that affects your gut health. So like there, it's just part of getting older. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think a lot, another part, and this is just me making a scientific guess at this point, like a is because we introduced douching into our lives, we won't ever really know what it could have been if we just never brought it in when we
Mm.
were 22, 23. Like maybe things would have just kept staying in that green lane in the good zone. And then we
Yeah.
started douching, and that affected our regularity and our douching dependency, because there is scientific evidence about douching dependency.
Yeah. I do think about that because I'm like, I never douched. I was like ready to go. Even like I did porn and I remember douching, but it was such an afterthought and just done so quickly and just kind of like everyone else was doing it. So I was just like, I guess you're supposed to. But
Yeah.
I remember not being worried about it.
Yeah. I mean, same. I remember being like 17 to 20. I was a fucking whore in college, like
Yeah.
big time. And I just was like, oh, I went to the bathroom today, period. Like,
Good.
I
Get
obviously,
ready.
I would, like, hop in the shower before or something, but I never douched until basically a guy shamed me for a mess that wasn't even there, when
Oh,
I was, like, 21. So and I feel like that's such a common story for other people too, that that's how douching became a part of their life, but yeah, it's like I do feel like ever since I started douching with a much smaller bulb, years ago, I feel like my body is starting to hit the reverse in the good way of like, okay, we're relying on bowel regularity again, we're relying on fiber again, and we're using douching as like the cherry on top, not the foundation of
yeah.
preparation. Because even with anal dilation exercises, you can release your bowel movements a lot easier. Like you have your sphincters open up better, so you have a full evacuation instead of anything being left behind. Because really tight people, they struggle on the toilet and they can be pinching off and holding in some in their rectum still. And
Mm,
it's just anal dilation has lots of other benefits. Anal dilation is actually used as a treatment for constipation. It just
wow.
happens to be a great thing for anal sex too.
Yeah, well, listen, I would also say, like, I'm not one of those people that goes and sits on the toilet and brings a book and
No,
stuff.
you
So,
shouldn't.
but sometimes I find I rush it, and then I
Mm,
shouldn't. Don't rush it. Like, just make sure you're done, I guess, right?
yeah. Make sure you're done within 5 minutes. That's like the scientific evidence is out on that one. If you're just sitting on the toilet after 5 minutes and there's nothing else coming out or anything, you should get up and leave because
You're good.
yeah, that. But like the number one reason, like I want to say it is the number one. It is definitely one of the top causes of hemorrhoids is sitting on the toilet for too long. Um,
Oh,
so scrolling on your phone, reading books, fucking around 5 minutes, get up and leave. Like
yeah,
you're asking for a hemorrhoid if you are hanging around because you're putting a ton of pressure on
interesting.
your rectum. Um, so we all have hemorrhoids. You're asking for a swollen hemorrhoid by sitting on the toilet for too long.
Right. Um, if I'm watching and I'm new to bottoming, so I have an OnlyFans, and people actually ask me for advice, like on my OnlyFans, and I'm like, I'm not the expert. Maybe I'll just send them your way. But I do get questions about positions,
Yeah.
like what are different positions, and what do they offer a bottom?
Oh my God. So I have a really fun reel and TikTok video about this. um, I like love that I actually have somewhere to point people for these things.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna put all
So
your links down below
Um,
in the
thank you so
description.
much, Patrick.
Yeah,
So that's a really fabulous question because it just depends. Like that's unfortunately the answer all the time.
yeah,
So it depends on the curve of your partner's penis, toy, whatever it is. Because I have a huge lesbian following too. They use strap-on. So it depends on the curve. So I have a really great video that matches positions to curves because especially if you have a prostate, you really want to match that curve correctly because it's going to hit your prostate and that feels
we want
insane.
that.
Um,
Yes.
so that video is kind of old, so I'm having to really it's not it's like 5 months old, but I'm having to recall the curves and the positions.
Mm,
Um, I want to say so you want to be going in at an angle towards the prostate. It's not a straight shot in.
yeah.
And for instance, my partner's penis curves downward. So I want to get it in a way where it's coming up towards the belly button, if that makes sense. So
Right.
positions like doggy are putting his curve away from my prostate.
Um,
But positions like reverse cowgirl, I
I was
think,
just gonna say that.
are going to put it in a better position. So it's all about the curve that you're working with.
Right.
If a penis curves left or right, you would literally take your cowgirl and turn to a right angle. So it
Yeah,
seems silly, but it's going to hit better. Um, in fact, I actually recommend doing the T where the person topping is just laying on their side.
I love
Um,
oh, on their side, hold on.
Wait, no.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I'm having to do this in real time in my mind. Just go
I
watch the
know.
video. I'm
What
like, wait.
for you hear a lot that if you're tight or you're new to bottoming, a good way to start is by um, the top lying down, and then you like, would that be an easier
Yeah.
like?
So cowgirl, cow they, them
Yeah,
is what I always say. But
yeah,
um so I definitely do recommend starting on top always. You like as you loosen up, it might not hit as good as other positions
right.
for you. Again, depending on the partner's curve, whether you have a prostate or not, all that kind of stuff. Um, but it is still really optimal to start on top so that you have full control of how much you're taking. Um, Even when I loosen up, I always start on top and I might only be there for 30 seconds. I'll be like, okay, we're good. You can have control now. But it is really good to start in that position for that exact reason. Like I said, it might not hit for you in the best way, but at least it opened you up and you had saying and control and power in that moment. And then you can mix it up. But I never, ever, ever recommend starting in doggy ever. That is
Right,
too deep. And you have no control. Like
right.
technically you can throw your ass back, but whoever's topping has the most control.
Hmm.
And to them, it's going to feel very good because they can go really deep. So you want to start in a position like cowgirl, cow they them, because it
Cow
like
they them.
there's actually a term. It's like cowpoke. Like that's, but
Okay.
I think cow they them is more fun. But cowpoke is like the non-binary cow boy,
Okay.
cowgirl. But it's it's still just like you want to start with as much control as you can get, and also you can typically only go so deep with cowgirl, cow they them. So it's you want to stay away from really deep.
Yeah.
Anything that puts the top in total control, that's like round. That's like position two. Don't
Hmm.
start with position one for that.
Yeah. No, that makes sense because if you're on top, you are because you can feel your body. So if you're on top doing a cow they them, you can be like, maybe it slides right in, or
Yeah,
but sometimes it's not, a little bit. Oh, okay, hold on, and then you're
yeah.
in control of getting the action started, and then, I mean, once it gets going on, woo,
Yeah, truly. Once it
yeah,
gets going, have at it. But especially if you're someone that sleeps with a lot of different people, you hook up with a lot of different people, you always want to start on top because every penis is different. Every day is different. You might be more stressed today, and now you're dealing with a penis that curves in a completely different direction than the one you had a couple days ago. So it's really important to give yourself grace that there is so much nuance in this world instead of being like, oh, well, Patrick told me this position works for him, but it didn't work for me. And it's like, well, because you were being double penetrated by penises that went in opposite directions. So that's not a fair assumption. Like,
yeah,
so
yeah.
you know what I mean? There's a lot of nuance.
Were you looking at me when you said somebody if you sleep with a lot of people? I feel like you were looking at me.
I was looking at both of us. My
I
eyes
think you
kind of
were
darted.
looking at me.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's end with just a fun question. What is your favorite position?
Oh my god. I
Do you
can't.
have one?
Oh my god, I don't know if I can pick. I think it is cow they them, honestly, because for me, it feels insanely good. Like I like almost goon out when it because it feels so good.
Oh,
Um, but I would say that that's my favorite. I'm also a power bottom. No fucking
ooh,
no
splash.
surprise. Yeah, it's like, oh, the CEO of the bomb side just power bottom. But it's so I like having that control, but also my partner is such a good person in the bedroom too that it's nice to be able to please him in my own way too. So that's always really, really fun.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, just because of the curvature and my prostate and all that jazz, it just that position never not feels good to the point where I'm taking extra good care of my knees to make sure I can do it for as long as possible because I love that position so much.
yeah.
I don't care how vanilla that is, but I love that.
No, it's not at all. Not at all. I love cow they them because I like being in control as the bottom.
Mhm.
Um, So for that, I think psychologically for me, it works that way. But physically, I like missionary because it seems to hit me right.
Yeah,
Uh,
so that's exactly what I'm talking about.
you
That's
know,
exactly
it
what I'm
depends
talking
on the penis, of course, but it
about.
more often than not, I'll get the best results physically, prostatally, missionary. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's exactly what I was talking about. It's like you might start in doggy, or I mean, you might start in reverse cowgirl, cowboy, whatever, because even reverse cowgirl is still you starting on top. Um, but you might know that missionary hits better for you. And like, and it just makes it more exciting because you're like, you know what's to come. You're about to go into your
totally.
position that you like the most.
Yeah.
Um, and like I said, penis curve matters a lot. The height of the person matters a lot because they can change the position. I mean, the
That's fair.
angle that they're hitting you
Mm.
um, from their height alone. So, like, there's a lot to play. Like, that's why you put a pillow underneath you during
100%.
missionary.
Yeah. Do
It
you do
changes
you
things.
have things like that on your website? Like a triangle? You know those foam
No, I
triangles and stuff like
don't.
that? Oh, that's coming.
I know it's like things like that. Do it definitely need to
Sex
come because those are
furniture.
not easy to clean too. So it's like
Oh yeah.
Um, it'd be nice to come out with one that is easier to clean. But
Just wipe it down. Yeah.
yeah, seriously, a nice little wipe. But yeah, change like that's my favorite position. I love reverse cowlay them just as much because it's incredible. I will say though, don't get a purple mattress. Not great for sex. so
What's a purple mattress? What are you talking
um,
about? Actually purple?
it is actually purple. But when you were asking me what my favorite position is, it just makes me think of like the amount of times my husband and I laugh in the bedroom because it's like a nice firm sleep, but for sex, it sinks. Oops, excuse me. It sinks a little too much. So we have
Oh,
to like
is it Tempur-Pedic?
kind of, it's just like,
Okay.
it just was like a little, I think it's
You
only
just
in
kind of sink
America.
in and it doesn't give you any sort of like bounce or like
Yeah, I have to put
it doesn't
pillows
help with
underneath.
movement. It just like
Yeah, it's pretty
got it.
annoying. So that's another thing to keep in mind. There's a lot of nuances in this world. I
There's
told you.
lots to know. There's lots to know. That's why everybody has to follow you. They need to go to your website. They're going to follow you on and YouTube and TikTok and Instagram. I'm putting all of your links down
Yeah.
below. Alex, thank you so much for joining me today again for the second time. I really appreciate it.
Yes, it was just as much fun the second time.
Yay! And this time I'll come to Chicago. Well, no, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll
I
come
would
to
love
you.
to meet up in person though, sometime.
Yes, I'll come to Canada and get a doctor's appointment while I'm out there.
Please, we have tons of those.
Thank you so much.
And for the rest of you, I will see you in the next episode of Queerly Us.
Bye.